David, how did you assess that one?
I was talking to one of the other guys in the room, and they said it probably wasn't a classic, and that was probably a great example of the game. We didn't play our best. There were some areas that I was really disappointed. I thought the fall of the ball in the first half, particularly in our D50, was poor. It wasn't good enough. I'll save all the journos out there. They can cut it now for their shows during the week. But we just gave up some easy goals after probably owning the majority of the first half. What I did love, we won that game in the start of the third, where we didn't win the ball. We were getting beat, but we hung tough. I think their scoring efficiency from the first half to the second half, I'm not sure what it was overall in the second half. I think it was down around 20%. And our backs, when the pressure was on, they got the job done. Our mids got back to support, and we found a way to protect the scoreboard. And then when we got our little window at the end of the third, we capitalised, and that was probably the difference in the game, and probably the difference in some of our other games throughout the year. When those periods have come at us, they've been able to score. But at the start of the third, we hung tough, and it was good to see because. I put the heat on quite a few of them at half time because we weren't getting our job done.
Can you explain the poor kicking today? I know conditions were really good. It just seemed both teams were doing it, but there's just a lot of poor kicking under pressure, missing targets in open field. That sort of contributed overall to the game not being a classic. Can you sort of explain that? Yeah,
I'm not sure. I can't explain why. This side of the ground was wet. So the ball did get slippery. So in the shade, I walked out before the game. I was quite surprised. So one side was dry, and you're going, this looks nice, and this side was wet. So I don't know if it was that. I thought our ball use, particularly in the first half, wasn't at the standard we probably have done in the past. Once we got it inside 50, they got a heap of numbers back, and we knew that was a possibility. And you've got to win contests, and we got lots of stoppages down there. And I think we scored from stoppages today more than turnovers. But I just thought some of the field kicking and decision making throughout the whole game probably wasn't at the level we need to be at. So that's a room for improvement for us.
Fair bit of heat around Zach Williams in recent times. 26 possessions and a goal today. How did you see his game?
I thought he played his role pretty well. I thought he was part of a group that didn't defend hard enough at the end of the second. I thought we got beat at the fall of the ball, and some of the decisions were made off guys that were some of more experienced or leaders in our group, and I thought he was a part of that group. But on the flip side, when he had the ball in hand, his decision making, his ability to win some really important contests after half time, I thought he was strong, really strong after half time. And with him and Sardi and Nick Newman down there, we expect to get some really good ball use and rebound out of there. We just need to make sure if you're going to have that flair, you've got to have that defensive intent and purpose. And full credit to them after half time, they brought a bit of both.
How hard did you go with it at half time? You said before, was that as hard as you've gone in recent times, do you think? And what was the messaging around that as well?
I was doing the basics really well, like boxing out at fall of the ball in your D50. The ball goes in there, and as you and your opponent, you need to number off and make it a contest. You can't just roll in there. And I think they scored quite a few of their goals. I'm not sure exactly how many, just from long kicks in and winning it at ground level. So, it was as hard as I went that I've ever gone at them. And I wasn't sure. I wasn't quite sure how it would go. But to their credit, in the second half, when the ball went in there, we were strong. We didn't get scored against. We protected the scoreboard, and then allowed us when we got our turn to hit the scoreboard at the other end.
Was that focused on those senior guys in the back line, as you mentioned, or was it?
It wasn't back line. The ball was going in there, so it was a team message. It wasn't one or two individual players. There was just too many of us, and you're going to have times when the ball goes in there and one guy can't get the job done on his guy. But there was one we showed at half time. There was probably four of us. Four of us that were out there and had a chance to defend our guy with serious intent, and we chose not to. So until we do that, we're not going to be a great side. We need to get better in that area. And to the players' credit, and I keep coming back to it, the second half we did it, and it showed. We protect the scoreboard, and the game was lived down there for a little bit longer than we would have liked. And in the past, we get scored against, where today in the second half we didn't. So hopefully it's a great learning moment for our group. to get the win. It wasn't pretty, but these games hurt even more when you don't win. So a lot of credit. I hope the players get a bit of joy, get a feeling about what they did in that second half to be able to, even though we didn't dominate the game, we were able to protect the scoreboard, but then hit it ourselves.
Doherty sort of started at half forward and then went to a wing. Is that where you expect to use him a bit more now?
You might want to watch it a little bit closer. He didn't spend much at half forward. That's one of our trick plays off the centre bounce. So don't tell all the opposition coaches. So no, he was playing wing. He played wing last week and he played wing majority of this game. We see him giving us some real run. With obviously Zach going back there, we just changed our makeup a little bit the last 2 weeks, and Doc's I think he's been outstanding for us as a wingman.
Harry's really quite early, but he was able to have a big influence late in the game. He must have been pleased with how he was able to work through probably a difficult first half.
Yeah, he's had a few challenges like that throughout the year, and that's one of the advantages sometimes of playing in that area of the ground. You can have an average half, or you mightn't get the looks, or you might not stick your marks, but sometimes it only takes a quarter or a moment that you can get going. I thought he got the ball to ground well on some occasions, and then he hit the scoreboard late. So I thought Hardinger did a very good job on Harry, and what you need to be able to do is, you may not be playing your best, you still got to be able to contribute, and I thought he did in the second half.
So obviously said after the game it's still a little sore. How closely do you have to monitor that through games and that data?
In games, not too much. He's in a position that he can get through the games. During the week is probably where you really, once you step over that white line, you got to be ready to go. And he put his hand up for the last three weeks with that, and we've seen he's still been able to play a role for us. So there's lots of players carrying little things into it, and obviously Harry's has created a little bit more attention. But the way he's gone about that, sometimes we just appreciate him getting the ball to ground. At times he was competing against two, they got their number back, and he just had to get it to ground, allow our smalls, Owies, Fogarty, Betts to get at it, and that's sometimes your job, and I thought he did that.
Is it one of those things that he'll just have to manage over the rest of the season, or is it going to get better? How have you assessed it?
Yeah, I suppose it'll depend. Everyone's different, but the type of injury generally gets better sort of over sort of 3 to 5 weeks, depending. Everyone's different, but he's pulling up better from each game, so it's improving, and I hope that next week he'll be better again, and then sooner or later he'll be back to full steam. But he's doing well with it. Sometimes the challenge with the players who have little niggles is they don't get the volume of training, they don't get those the contact and the get in the drills. We've got to make quick decisions, and that sometimes is a challenge. But Harry's been doing it really well so far.